Welcome. Greetings of peace and love. I'm Reverend Cardona. I'm here with Reverend Lisa Benton. Together we present Miracles with a Twist Conversations. We like to unpack and dig deep around issues that were presented during the Miracles with a Twist broadcast that takes place and drops on Sundays on Facebook as well as on my YouTube channel, RevLo Cardona. And so on Tuesdays, we take a little bit of a deeper dive into that. Goddi Lisa takes some time to create a discussion, and we listen in and we learn more about what was going on in her mind as she was listening. There was a time when we were all together in person pre-COVID, and we would have nice long post-meeting conversations. And this is our way of sort of recreating that on a smaller scale.
Yeah.
It's available to anyone who listens to also make comments, to write to us, and let us know what else you would like us to discuss. And so we think of you as being present here with us. So as such, we can all take a nice deep breath together. And as we exhale, we put our hands on our hearts. Feel your heart. Take a moment to just feel your heartbeat. And as you feel your heartbeat, think of the connection you have to all your brothers and sisters, kindred spirits, mighty companions, even strangers, even the folks that you have had troubles with within your life. Bring them all into your heart in this moment. We turn our hearts toward the opportunity of love and compassion. We turn our hearts toward all opportunities to expand our awareness of our place in this world, our place as miracle workers, those of us who are willing to change our minds and change our hearts, change the way we look at the world, so that we can see with eyes of compassion and love, so we can be instruments of peace, so that we can honestly and rigorously take an internal observation of ourselves at any given time to see how we can do better and be better. And as we rise in the morning, we ask, what would you like me to do today? How can I serve? Where can I go? What do I say and to whom? And we open ourselves to the guidance of spirit that leads us to a path of higher consciousness. And as we give thanks to that and for so much more on this sacred journey together, we take another nice deep breath in. And exhale into this moment of togetherness and groundedness and gratitude. Hello, Goddi Lisa.
Hello, RevLo.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you so much for that introduction and the prayer and the meditation. It was beautiful because I'm so glad that you mentioned what we do. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but there's a method to our madness. And I like that you brought up how we started. And with that, it made me think that when we talk about what resonates with me, because you know that when it came to our little conversations after we all met together pre-COVID and post-COVID, that it was usually me who was yapping and making my notes and all that stuff. And I, spoke to you about it, and that's how we got conversations. But I just want to remind everybody who watches us to please, because people I know have spoken to you and they've spoken to me too about watching us and asking questions and so forth. And I just want people to know that we really want to hear from everyone and anyone. We talk about what resonated with me, and then you speak and what resonated with you from what you said on Thursday and so forth. And then what I added, but to have another voice or voices would be marvelous. So, and the only way we know that is if people will let us know. I try to bring that into conversations that I've had with people during the week who have contacted me or emailed me or something about something that was said or posted or whatever. But it would be really great if we could create this community. And so I just wanted to say that. And
Well, who
now I
knows?
will move on. Unless, did you want to say something?
Well, I said eventually we might go live again,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
do this on Zoom and bring other people into the conversation.
Right. So and so it'll be wonderful. So, but we need a jumping off place, and this is where it is. And I have a blast every Tuesday. I just can't wait to talk about Thursday. Which is one more thing I would just like to say is, those of you who watch conversations, please make sure that you watch Miracles with a Twist, because this is an offspring of that. And there we do make references to it that if you didn't see it, you wouldn't know what we were talking about. And of course, the Miracles is intense enough without adding a level of, oh, I don't know what they're talking about. So watch it on Thursday, between Thursday and now, because you can watch it at any time. It's posted on Facebook and on YouTube. And so anyway, back to Thursday. And there was something else that you said too in your opening. You and I are very authentic with our thoughts and how we see things and our questions and our answers and so forth. And on Thursday, you brought a very powerful level to Miracles with a Twist. And you opened with the fact that it had been a really tough week for you. And it's been a tough time. You've dealt with our buddy Pam. It was the anniversary of her passing in a very difficult way. Not that losing a loved one is ever easy, but this was extremely difficult on all of us. Your little companion there, Ernesto, has been diagnosed with a terminal illness, and he's making his way, and we don't speak doggy, so we don't really know, but he's making his way, and that's tough. And in the meantime, you have your, life and stuff that goes on with you, and you were very candid about it being a rough time. And you spoke of prayer, and then you were like, and do I really mean what I say? And that just set off something with me that did not resonate from the same experiences, but nonetheless. And that was that when I was going through and it was very difficult for me, having been raised in traditional Roman Catholic and Anglican Catholic environments, to extricate myself from traditional church. It was very hard because I truly did not know what I believed because I believed it, or because I thought I believed it because I had been saying it for so many years. And so with prayers, I actually deliberately did not say certain prayers because I had said them rotely for so long that I didn't allow them to have meaning to me. However, I found myself, and this is the light that you turned on for me, I found myself during this time defaulting, when I was really broken, to prayers such as the Lord's Prayer, which is a very powerful and wonderful prayer. But I had, for 2 years, not said it deliberately because I was not going to say anything that was forced on me. That's the way I felt. But now, as I have moved along in the years, I have defaulted to many things of my upbringing that I resented, that I didn't get, that frightened me, all of that. I now have, and I still have to, discern in some situations, but I have spent so much time in discernment that I can go into any of these any church, and feel at home with the divine, with my the members of the body that are there. And I don't care what religion it is, or if it's not a religion, if it's just a gathering of spiritual beings who want to just speak, I can feel comfortable there. I don't have to agree with everything. But I am so grateful for my grounding in this religious environment that I had resented for so long. So I've been in a place where I have thought, do I really feel this? And you said, and I don't know your exact words, I don't recall them, but you said something like, it was in me, when you were like, do I even believe this or whatever? But the thing was, it was instilled in you. It was in you somewhere, then it needed, and it came out. And whether or not intellectually you could say, do I really mean this intellectually or what? That really isn't the point. The point was that it was in you, and it was there for you to express love, whether or not you were in a loving, peaceful state of mind. And I have been there. And you had mentioned, let me see, we had chapter 25 is the light you bring. One of the sections is the light you bring, which you refer to. And it says, in you is all of heaven. And that was so perfect, because the words that you spoke, that you were like, do I really mean them? Yeah, they're in your heaven. They're in heaven, the heaven, your heaven, and they're there when you need them. Everything we need is always within us. And that is something that the way you did it on Thursday really helped me to let myself off the hook sometimes with some of my analysis that I have to do through my head. Well, you even said yourself, I wasn't sure if I really meant it, but you did. And so I can if words come out of me that are loving, then they're in me, that they're coming from my heaven, from the heaven. And I just need to accept that that's okay. Everything doesn't have to be an aha moment. I think for me, everything doesn't have to be aha or come from a deep meditative state or whatever. I can say something, and maybe Spirit's just driving it because it just needed to come out of me. And you had just made that resonate with me. And you also quoted from the Desiderata of Max Ehrmann's Desiderata, which is kind of an instructional prose poem kind of thing. And I'd like to quote the quote that you quoted. Go placidly amid the noise and the haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. And that is just so beautiful, because to me, that's just one more affirmation of everything we need is in us. And I was reading verse 4 of the Tao from Wayne Dyer's book, Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Mind. And today, just today, he was talking about verse 4, and it was the same thing, not even basically the same thing, it was the same thing. Just be, because everything you need, and he listed things, Dyer did, he listed things, it's all there. And that, comes from the Tao. And so it's an affirmation of what is, and that reminded me, after reading that this morning, that reminded me of the very beginning of A Course in Miracles, it makes it clear that this is not a religion. This is a way, the way to live. And speaking of the way, that's what the Tao is. It's kind of the way. So I just, it sounds kind of crazy probably, because we reiterate constantly in A Course in Miracles that everything we need is in us, that we put up blocks, and that's basically what the teachings of A Course in Miracles is really not teachings, it's unteachings. It's how to get rid of everything. I'm not going to tell you how to do everything. I'm going to tell you what to get rid of that you're doing that kind of is getting in your way of being the loving, divine, holy creation that you were created to be. And so when you said, when you spoke of what was, of the words that you said, and did you really mean them, and that they were actually in you, it reminded me of A Course in Miracles, of course, in the teacher's manual. And the teacher's manual in, let's see, it's in the third section, I believe. It says, it is the teaching underlying what you say that teaches you. And that's exactly what I experienced. It's kind of like what we teach is what we need to learn, or what we're expressing to someone is something that is in us that needs a little working out, and we're just expressing it sometimes in a not so pleasant way. So that's really where I'm coming from today. It was authenticity in your troubled state that and seeing you just, instead of coming from a state of anxiety, which certainly no one would have, everybody would have thought, oh my goodness, poor RevLo, all this stuff. I'm sure they did think of that, but you came from a peace. I can see peace instead of this. Didn't mean that you weren't worried about Ernesto, or that you weren't missing Pam and dealing with just stuff, but you could see peace in that. And that, to me, that transparency is something that I absolutely love about Miracles with a Twist. There's plenty of Course in Miracles classes and teachings and meditations and all of that, not to minimize them. I watch them myself, I read them, all of that. But Miracles with a Twist brings an authenticity through you that cannot, at least for me, not be heard in my heart. And I am very grateful for that. And you helped me deal with something that I thought I had actually kind of gotten past, but I really hadn't. And so I just needed maybe to take another look at it. And it's allowed me to be more authentic with my own self too, and not try to hide the fact that I was Roman Catholic or that I left the Roman Catholic Church. I don't denounce the Roman Catholic Church. I don't consider myself even a lapsed Roman Catholic. I don't really know what that means. I just am grateful that I had the upbringing that I thought I couldn't stand. And it's brought so much to me. And I want to thank you for what you brought on Thursday. Oh.
You're welcome. And Thursday was the 17th of February, which was the actual day of Pam's death. So I did not do my live stream until Friday.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And so on Thursday, what happens is I collect things through the week, and I look at them, and I kind of like wait to feel guided to what I'm going to send on the daily WhatsApp text. For anybody who doesn't know, I send out a daily moment or word of inspiration. Sometimes it's a song, sometimes it's a copy of what we're doing, sometimes it's just a meme of some sort, and often it's words from A Course in Miracles. And that day, what struck me in what I chose was that it was very colorful. It was a pretty meme. It had flowers, it was flowery. But the words were something like, you know, I'm going to paraphrase because I remember exactly, but it was like, even in the worst of times, you can find the good in something. And I sent it, and then as soon as I sent it, I thought, but I don't believe it in this moment. And what I reminded myself, and I don't know if I reminded you guys when I actually said it on the podcast, was it's a reminder that it's only this moment, and this moment does not have to be carried into a fuel fire of upset. I don't have to give it so much of the added in fuel to the fire. You know, that example of, you know, you have a fire going down and you throw some light. We did that just last night. I had some friends over and we did a little a fire pit, but we had to keep making it higher and hotter and, you know, more flame. But toward the end, we were putting dirt on it to stop it. So it was like, you want to either fan the flames or reduce the flames. And when you're in an upset, you don't want to fan the flames. You want to reduce the flames, you know. And so the metaphorical dirt that we throw on it is our deeper inner knowing. So my deeper inner knowing that day was the fact that I could find peace somewhere. I went to the beach. I took Ernesto. I met some wonderful strangers who just came up to wanted to pet Ernesto and talk. And it was as if there was some holiness. I felt there was a holiness of that day, sacredness memorializing Pam. And so even though I was in my sadness and in a little bit of an upset, I was looking at what is deeper in terms of what is more filled. Now, when we're early on our path, we might have a really empty reservoir, you know, and so we fill it up with our upset. You know, I'm upset, so I'm going to add more upset, more upset. It's like complainers. You know, you have friends who complain, and then they complain, and then they complain some more, and some more, and some more, and some more. It's because that's what they're filling their vessel with. You know, but we're working really hard to fill our vessel with inner peace and with inner knowing, with compassion, with a willingness to shift our consciousness. And it doesn't mean that, oh yeah, I'm upset right now, but there's more room for peace in me than there is for my upset. So instead of getting into a conversation about rescue dogs and you know, about things that could fuel my fire of the upset of the moment, I turned toward the metaphysical, spiritual dampening that would bring the fuel down. And there were a lot of things that were going on that day, that whole week, you know. And so I think that in our human experience, we give those things a moment, whereas maybe in the past we gave them hours and days and, you know, on and on and on. And it's our natural selves that we have to be true to. You know, I talked to you yesterday about a personal incident that occurred, and I'm going to keep it as basic as possible, that I ran into somebody that was involved with an abusive situation that occurred a few years ago. And I have been working on forgiveness. I have been working on, you know, really just being at peace in that person's presence. And so I thought, well, I'm going to go and say a nice thing. I'm going to initiate a conversation and say some words of kindness and not bring up the past, nothing. Well, then that person brought up the past and brought up the fact that they were okay with that abusive situation. They felt like it served a purpose. So my brain, like my trauma brain, my natural human brain started going into like shock, like, oh, wow, I wasn't expecting this, you know. In the past, if I had not done the emotional healing work, the spiritual commitment work, I would have gotten into an argument.
Absolutely.
I would have gotten into like, no, wait a minute, I have a perspective here. I want to be heard. I have my righteous indignation about everything that occurred, and I need to explain, you know, I need you to hear the other side of the story. And none of that happened to me. I mean, I did feel myself getting some anxiety around it. I felt myself like my brain started to shut down, like, but my deeper self, and again, this deeper reserve within me was like, just walk away, find some peace, find a way to find some peace, you know. And it was interesting because I went and sat down, and this was at believe it or not, it was at a church event. So there was a bunch of people that knew me there, and they kept coming over and saying, hi, good to see you. And they were listening to Miracles with a Twist, and they were like, oh, I love this concept. And so I got all of a sudden, it's like spirit just started pushing people in my direction. Go give her a hug. You know, it was like all these people, it was like, well, hello, hello, hello. And it was like loving, all this love came at me, you know. And Grace was the speaker at that particular service, and she had quoted me, and so people were quoting me back, and I was like, wow, this is so sweet. And it wasn't like, yay, yay me. It was more like, ah, me. Ah, thank you, Spirit. Thank you for this moment of comfort. Thank you for taking me out of that upset. But if we don't do the work, if I hadn't been doing the forgiveness work, if I hadn't been doing the emotional and spiritual dedication to doing better and being better, I probably would have made a phone call later, like, wait a minute, I got something to say. I'm not, you know, I didn't get my say. You know, you threw that punch and walked away. You know, but instead, I was just like, you know what, this is exactly what the Course tells us. You know, things are going to come up, and we choose our teacher. We choose our teacher right there in that moment. You know, am I going to choose the teacher that reminds me that everything is sacred, everything is holy, even this person, even that situation, it all served a purpose in my life. And it certainly gave me lots of opportunities to practice forgiveness, you know, from a deeper level, not like you're bad and I'm good, but that level of, you know, whatever in my life allowed that sort of thing to happen or participated in any way. All of that is grist for the forgiveness mill. And so, you know, I am not as upset a day later or 2 days later as I would have been in the past, because in the past I would have fueled the flame. I would have fueled the flame by making sure I got people on my side, and I got people to hear my side, and then I maybe would have written a letter or an email, and I would have found a way, you know. And it's like, wow, that's an old story, you know. That's the Lori of an old story. I don't need to do that, you know. And I even actually said that to this person. I said, well, that's an old story, because I did not want to engage in a conversation that would just be an argument. It was, I think the reason I felt shock was because, you know, the conversation was brought to me like a justification for that behavior. But that again has to do with their guilt, not mine, because my guilt was addressed way back then when I said, what have I done, you know, and had to come to myself, like, what did I do? Something, was there something in me that felt like I believed it? You know, I was listening to Michael Murdad from his Sunday talk, and he said, when there was a couple, the woman came to him who was really upset because her husband kind of ran off with a younger woman and was now didn't just have an affair, but it was now with the woman. And so he was talking to her, and it turned out that she felt very insecure about herself. She always felt like, oh, he's going to leave me someday. And so he was like, you know, you kind of created this, like, it, not in a way you want to hear it, like, but you have to understand that everything is happening. You know, when you talk about the background, everything is happening in the background. If we feel bad about ourselves and we feel like we're unworthy of love, we're going to draw to ourselves someone who's going to reinforce that concept. And so when this person was upset that her husband left her, she said, yeah, I always felt unworthy of him, and so I didn't get to keep him, kind of a thing, you know. Wow. And I feel that same way, like, you know, did I think I deserved being cyberbullied and everything like that? Like, did I feel some guilt over some aspect of my life that allowed space for that? See, I'm more willing to look at it like that, as opposed to, oh, I am a victim, and that is the perpetrator, you know. But that doesn't mean everybody thinks that way. If somebody can actually believe that it's okay to behave that way, then I just need to back up and back off, and, you know, have my deep breaths, have the wall of love that surrounded me. It was just amazing. I wish you were there. You would have been like, wow, look at that. You would have been, sure. You would have been part of that wall of love. I know you would have been. Plus, you know, half the people there too. But it was just amazing how Spirit just was like, you. Go over there right now. And it was more than just, it was like 7 yous, you know, it was like a bunch of folks. And I was like, yay, God, thank you, Spirit. And, you know, of course I had about a certain amount of time where I wanted to have my say. But what I realized was, it's not what comes out of me, it's what's within me. And I would rather function from what's within me, because I don't really need anybody to hear what's what's going to come out of me if I'm coming from the other teacher, that unkind teacher, or I don't even, maybe not even kind, just the child having a temper tantrum wants to be heard. We don't need that anymore. We're filling this vessel of ours, with much more of the true reserve of what we need when we need it. And it showed up for me that day. And so I'm very grateful for that. I'm very grateful for the fact that we can just be who we are. And if we have our upset, let's have our upset and then move quickly through it. Find that way to dampen the flame as opposed to fuel the flame.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks for bringing it out today.
Well, thank you again. And absolutely everything you said is just kind of is another layer of relief and release that I don't have to know everything. I don't have to be the perfect creation that I have created in my mind or that someone else may have created in their mind about me. I need to be an expression of the divine. It's my birthright. It's who I am. It's who we all are. And that's what I need to do. And if I anything, prayer, meditation, thought, relationships, all of that can help me get closer to just letting the kookiness, the insanity, that's the word that is used so often in A Course in Miracles, the insanity take over. I'm good. It's so much easier to be a loving vessel than an annoying little troll going through everything that I'm not and everything everybody is and should be and all that. I'd much rather not be that way. Happens sometimes.
You are already a perfect creation of the divine.
Yes. Yes. So I would like to close with a lovely prayer. And I'm again plagiarizing you from The Bumpy Road to Enlightenment because you closed with this prayer and I love it. I absolutely love it.
Thanks.
And what I found really interesting was that in the book, just before the prayer, it says it's the end, like period, the end all of the book kind of, but right next to it, it says the beginning.
Right.
So the end is the beginning, is the end is the beginning, is the way I got it. And that's the way I read it too. And the way I heard it when you read it. May the blessing of all that is holy, sacred, and divine rest upon you and upon all sentient beings. May the power of love and compassion illuminate your heart and abide in the hearts of all. May all beings live in expression of loving kindness. May all beings live in peace, now and forevermore. Amen. Namaste. Om Shanti. Peace.
Amen to that. Amen to you. And thanks again. See you Thursday.
Thank you. See you.
Bye. God bless you.
Bye-bye.